If your business runs on 5 different apps, 12 browser tabs, and one spreadsheet that everyone's afraid to touch, it's probably time for Odoo. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that connects every part of your business into one powerful, easy-to-use platform. So instead of wasting time switching between disconnected systems, your entire business works together in real time. Your team moves faster, your data stays accurate, and you can actually focus on growing your business. Let one unified system run your entire business. From the first opportunity to the final payment, everything works together in one place. Whether you're a small business or managing a large operation, Odoo gives you the flexible platform built to grow with you. Try it today for free at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Hi, my name is Nikki, and I'm the daughter of a murdered woman. Welcome back to a special bonus episode of Poppy Killed Mommy. We're now 6 episodes in, halfway through the series, and up until now, most of what you've heard has been pieced together from police reports, case files, and my own personal memories. But I want to take a moment to remind you that my mom, Stacy, wasn't just a name in a report or a victim in a case file. She was a real person, a daughter, a sister, and a best friend. Today, you'll hear from one of those people who knew her best, her longtime friend, Laurie Swift. This recording was made back in May before I even knew what I was doing with the podcast. I was frustrated and ready to give up. I was calling Laurie crying. She showed up within an hour. She came into my little studio, and she just talked. No outline, no plan, just her heart into the microphone. She recorded 3 clips that day while I was laying on my bed in tears, frustrated because I didn't know what to do. And while I've pulled small pieces from them before, most of what you're about to hear has never been released. You'll notice it's different from my usual episodes. It's not an interview. You won't hear me guiding the story. It's Laurie candidly sharing her memories. I've only edited out the extra ums and ohs she likes to sprinkle in. Through Laurie's stories, you'll hear about the teenage girl my mom was in the 70s. The chaos of her home life, her love for music, the thrift store adventures, the mischievous fun with friends, and the struggles she carried that nobody her age should have to. These memories matter because they remind us of the whole person my mom was, not just how her life ended, but how she lived it. If you knew my mom in any capacity, as a friend, a neighbor, a coworker, or even just an acquaintance, I would love to hear from you. Whether it's a written letter, a voice message, or even joining me here on this podcast, please reach out. These stories, like Laurie's, are how we keep my mom's spirit alive. So here it is, the complete, unedited first studio recording with my mom's best friend, Laurie Swift.
Hello. My name is Laurie Swift, Arizona native, and I am in Cave Creek, Arizona at Nikki Lee Wassilishin's house in her studio, telling you my story about Stacy Wassilishin, her mom. Way back when in the mid-70s, I met Stacy Wassilishin in grade school through a mutual friend, Tracy. And at the time, I lived in a house about 31st Avenue in Windrose, and Tracy lived just a little west of me at 35th Avenue, and Stacy lived at 29th Avenue. So we all lived fairly close, and we rode our bicycles. Tracy and I had 10 speeds. We rode our bikes all the time to Stacy's house. Anyway, back in the 70s, her mom was married to a person named Bruce, the balloon guy. And Bruce liked to drink, and so did me. The Wicked Witch of Windrose, the mom, my friend Stacy, her mom liked to drink too, on a regular. Anyway, Stacy Wassilishin, my friend, grew up as a scapegoat in a house that had a lot of chaos with having a parent that drank on a regular. Then her mom would tell her mean things, such as the wrong twin died. Stacy never got over that the wrong twin died, because her mom never let her forget it. Stacy would be standing in the kitchen sink doing dishes. Stacy always having to do everybody else's fucking chores too while I'm talking about it. But when her mom running her mouth about whatever the topic was that night, and it was very difficult to go over her house and have a good time, because having a parent that drinks, they can be a bit obnoxious at times. However, The Wicked Witch of Windrose did allow us teenagers to have parties at her house, and then the Wasserlichen house got a swimming pool with that was a whole 'nother activity situation, pornification. But growing up, I don't remember how long the Wicked Witch was married to Bruce, but he was known as a balloon guy, and I don't know, he was a creeper. He was a creeper when you get that feeling about somebody and your hairs stand up, and he was a little too touchy-feely in my opinion, and from stories I heard from my friend. He had a problem keeping his hands to himself. He got divorced from him, and in a short time frame, she did wind up marrying a really great guy, Grandpa Miles, Reginald, and he was just very soft-spoken and very sweet, and to this day, can still hear him say, "Now, Stacy, we miss you, Miles. Thanks for being so awesome to Stacy." My friend Stacy was sent away as a young person, and, there's a going to Chicago was a whole 'nother story, and, I remember it differently than other people, so, I don't I just don't know. I just don't know. Believe my friend had another child prior to Nikki, and that's what I believe, that's what I know, that's what I've been told, and I have no proof. So moving forward, Stacy has Nikki Lee, and when with Craighead, and she and Craig were together for a long time. Out of high school, she was with him, and then my daughter was born. Nikki Lee was born in '83, and then my daughter was born after that. And Craig and my husband and Stacy and I, we hung out together, not a frequent because they were both hardworking construction workers, but we used to go to this in Sunny Slope, at the bowling alley, they had these great breakfasts. You could get these ginormous plates of food for under $5, and Stacy and I, oh, we like to thrift stop, and the guys would go out and do their gun thing and talk the construction thing or go off and do their side jobs, whatever it was. It happened on occasion, it was not on a regular. My ex would speak to Craig because they were both into the construction world about different things, and he'd even borrow guns from Craig later years. Stacy wouldn't let me put these guns, 3 of them, 2 handguns and a long gun, in her trunk to take back to Craig. She didn't like guns. We used to go out shooting, and Stacy never liked to go out shooting, so she never went. We would always go thrifting instead. Growing up in the '70s, she had some she always had a boyfriend. Oh, the boys would line up for Stacy growing up, and I'm sorry I don't remember any of the names, but she always had more than one ass to go to the dance, it seems like, and it was pretty cool. There wasn't a lot of extra money to go to dances and have extra fancy clothes and whatnot, so they learned to thrift and do the best they can at a really young age in the Wasserlichen family. I remember, extracurricular activities, in high school pardon me, in grade school, we were in dance. Tracy and I went to dance for a few years. The Spizak Academy is still here in the West Phoenix, West Phoenix, and, we had dance recitals and stuff, and there wasn't extra money like that in the Wasserlichen house to have curricular activities such as sports or dance, or to be able to order stuff out of the book club, when they pass out the little book club, little newspapers when you were in school, and they had a list of all these books and things that you could order. There was not extra money in the Wasserlichen house. Things were very strapped. Things were very strapped. Everybody pitched in and did what they needed to do. Her brothers were always way cool. Lance and Michael were always real cool, even though I've often wondered, how did Michael Wasserlichen always know? We used his turntable and his awesome speakers. The Wasserlichen brothers had a good sound system, and we liked to use it when they were at home, even though we were not supposed to. I think that the Wicked Witch always told on us when we would go and play our Aerosmith in their toys in the attic. Oh my gosh, the vinyl back in the '70s. The music, we lived through music. We danced through music. We would, talk to each other in code through music, "Ooh, that smell," when somebody would come in the room. It was all about the music. If it wasn't for music, I really think that we would have lost our damn mind with so much going on. As teenagers going into high school, Stacy had a gremlin, saved money from her first job. She didn't know how to drive it. We hid it in my apartment complex for a few months in Barcelona apartments, which we had to hide it from Tracy's grandma and her aunt. Tracy's dad was a Phoenix cop, so we couldn't let grandma see that I was driving Stacy's car. So it was a real, real big secret that I had to hide amid late, what was it, like 78, 76? I can't remember the year, gremlin in our apartment complex, driving us around, picking us up at school, running around on our lunch hours. Thank you, Jesus, for watching over us because we had no business driving without a license, hauling butt, listening to our journey and our sticks and our Tom Petty at a very loud level in her gremlin. Stacy learned to drive the gremlin, and she was a pretty good driver. Pretty good driver. She always was a very diligent worker, and when she very clean, very organized, very meticulous, and she was a scapegoat at the Wassilition house as far as chores. I don't know, it's just, she couldn't get out to go do something on Saturday, so there was, all her chores and always other chores to do. It was quite frustrating. And then we have to go over and help Tracy because Tracy hated doing dishes, and she always had a sink full of dishes because shit, we didn't have dishwashers in that house, in that neighborhood in Westtown. Our laundry rooms were outside. They weren't even in the house. They were, outside on the carport. That's how the homes were built. And having a dishwasher, if you had kids, that was your damn dishwasher. So Tracy would always hate doing her dishes, so Stacy and I would always not always, we would go over there and help Tracy out do her dishes, and we always go to the mall, Metro Center Mall. Metro Center Mall was a huge playground for us when that was built in the '70s, and we would go to the food court, and, the ice skating rink was adjacent to the food court, and also adjacent to the food court, by the ice skating rink, when you first came in the door on the right-hand side, there was the airport lounge, and we could run inside there and buy cigarettes at the cigarette machine, and that was one of the couple of places that we were able to get ourselves cigarettes. And we'd smoke cigarettes outside the mall, and then go back inside, walk around the mall, try on clothes. And there was this one particular store called, I believe it was Rhodes, where you, in the dressing area, you would step up onto like this stage area where there was mirrors, and the tile was the squares, and they were liquid squishy gel in it, and they would move around. So it was a very fun place to try on clothes at Rhodes and dance to the squishy tiles. They always had fantastic music. Metro Center Mall, that was a pretty poppin' place for us back then. And I don't think that it was in our best interest to be hitchhiking from our house there, from Cactus down to Peoria to Metro Center. Yeah, we hitchhiked to the mall. And it was kinda scary, and doing it twice, didn't wanna do it a third time, and I believe it was Lance Wassilition. "Thanks for saving our lives, man, because you scolded us." That was feels like 100 fricking years ago, when we were teenagers, 15, 13, 14, whatever it was when Metro Center was built, however we were, you scolded us about hitchhiking. And then you were kind enough to drive us around in your Baja VW that had no back seats, so we rolled around like pinballs as you drove us to the mall. Thanks, man. Appreciate the ride and appreciate you being a big brother. Both the Wassilition brothers were cool to us, and they watched out. They didn't allow any bullshit at the parties when we had keggers at the house, which was cool. If you acted up, you didn't come back, I guess, so to speak. The Wassilition house, it was quite chaotic, always going on, and there were certain times of the day where they were into their soap operas, and you had to be quiet. The old lady was watching her soap opera, oh my gosh, even though it was recorded. Yeah, all about the soap opera drama. Oh my gosh, I guess not a soap opera person. I'm more the type where give me something with speeds and some action and some boom, bang, boom, let's go faster type of thing. Don't give me a soap opera. Never been a Hallmark kind of chick. but Stacy loved the Hallmark Channel. And as young girls, we learned to read a lot, so we were able to escape through reading, and I was reading is a whole 'nother world. Growing up in the '70s, wow, that's a whole 'nother world right now too, but we both Stacy and I got our first jobs in Westtown. Stacy working at a daycare, and she worked really hard at the daycare right around the corner there, right catty corner from my apartment complex, and my job was just across kind of all within a half a mile radius, and we walked. It was easy. Minimum wage and tips, was not what it is now, I assure you. Cost of life was a whole lot different, a whole lot different, and we got away with a lot of things because we didn't have a digital world. A whole 'nother world. I just don't know how to describe living in the '70s. It was about the music. The music, we did a lot of exploring. Life was good. Life was good when you had music. It's all about the music. Stacy loved Foghat. Slow Ride was one of her fantastic favorite songs.
Jerry is changing the way people think about car insurance. For people who like to save or just shop smarter, that change already happened. With Jerry, you're not locked into a policy that auto-renews. Reshop anytime by comparing up to 20 quotes side by side and switch, all in the app. No spam calls, no hidden fees. Drivers who save with Jerry save over $1,300 a year on average. You'll probably be the first one you know to use it, which makes you the smartest friend in the group. Download Jerry today.
Hello, hello. This is Laurie Swift talking about my friend Stacy Wassilishin. I am in Cave Creek, Arizona. This is number 2. Growing up in the '70s, I so missed the sounds, the smell, the tastes of the '70s. If laying in the front yard or your backyard of Arizona and, when it wasn't as built up as it is now, and being able to see the skies, the stars, it was just absolutely amazing. Music, we listened to an amazing amount of vinyl, and once we were able to get a job and save some money, we started going to concerts. We did an amazing amount of concerts, celebrity theater, the spinning around stage here in Arizona. I saw Van Halen there when he was rocking with Frankenstein. I so in love with Eddie Van Halen. To this day, he's one of my favorites. And we saw Journey and Styx so many times. And Rush. Rush. We were down on the floor for Rush, front row. And it was a pretty rich, I don't even remember which Rush it was, but it was good. We loved big hair band music and, in the Motown and the jazz. And then the Soul Sisters, Diana Ross, and the music. If you want to get nostalgic about it, I could go on and on about the music, the movies. The culture was absolutely different without being an electronic world for us. And not having electronics probably saved us from being arrested on more than one occasion, being underage, unlicensed drivers on the Arizona road, driving out to Maryville to score some weed. My friend Stacy, I tell you, she would be so excited about the technology and where it's at and what we can do in the kitchen, groceries delivered. My friend Stacy was a very hard worker, very very clean, very organized, very meticulous, and she was very creative as a chef, pastry chef, a cook. She has taught me through her chef skills the basics of making good meals. I do a lot of meal prep, don't do any packaged foods. And if you do meal prep, you live in Arizona, it's all about the citrus, all about the citrus. We grew up on citrus and pomegranates. Pomegranate seeds, you used to be able to use those to write obnoxious, rude things on sidewalks. Anyway, my friend Stacy left this world way too soon. And her mom never let her live it down that the wrong twin died. She never recovered from that. That was a huge emotional drain, strain, emotional upset that Stacy dealt with on a regular. The loss of a twin, not knowing, the whole not knowing. She talked about it on occasion. It wasn't a hot topic as the years proceeded, especially after she moved out of the old lady's house and she didn't have to listen to the old lady's drunken banter while she was sitting on her perch. Yeah, I didn't go back to the Wassilian house for since probably the late 70s because I did not want to deal with the Wicked Witch. And I regret not going back to the last birthday parties that Stacy had for her daughters on the house in Windrose when she was living in Sedona. Hello, hello. This is Laurie Swift, and this is number 3, talking about my friend Stacy Wassilian. My friend Stacy Wassilian, growing up in the 70s. Wow. Our dances at Saguaro Elementary, last song was always Nice and White Satin. And Stacy always had dates to the proms in high school. And she actually had more than one guy ask her to go to the prom. And she always looked so beautiful. There's a lot of great pictures that Nikki Lee is able to share on her social media of her mom with prom pictures and dances and the house parties. There was an amazing amount of house parties at the house on Windrose, especially after they got a swimming pool. And oh, the swimming pool, the barbecues, and they had like a tiki room out back, so to speak, that was kind of like an Arizona room. If, you know, it was quite the party house with good tunes and good eats and all American fornication, as young hot teenagers. Can't go wrong with that. What's wrong with Arizona? Oh my gosh, we were so lucky that none of us got arrested. Laws are different, just like desert parties, the desert parties. No, you don't know, so let me tell you. Arizona, where we used to have our desert parties, was not annexed as Maricopa County, the largest county in the state of Arizona. It was annexed by and patrolled by Yavapai County, which was the Black Canyon City Sheriff's Department. And they would have to drive from Black Canyon City to Cave Creek and wherever that was, Deer Valley, Union Hills. We used to have our desert parties. It was a good 45-minute drive. So, and, when you're in the desert, it wasn't right off the freeway. So it was real easy to have our desert parties and our kegers and big bands, big hair bands. It was just fabulous. And through the high schools, 3 different high schools. Stacy and I both graduated from Washington High School. Stacy graduated in 79. I graduated in 81. And, right after high school, we started working and we had jobs. And, it's difficult to keep in touch. And she met Craig in the early 80s, I believe, is when she met Craig after high school because she graduated in 79. And Craig was friends with one of the Wassilian brothers and he would carpool with the brothers to their job sites, and Craig sitting there chatting, wanting to know what Stacy was all about. He was waiting for her to get off work when she worked at the daycare, just, hanging out, listening to music on the tailgate of the truck. That hanging out on the tailgate's a truck. Anyway, Craig loved Stacy and in my opinion was by far her soulmate, and they never stopped loving each other. Being young parents and experienced, they did as best they could with the tools that they had, in my opinion. It was difficult, when Stacy trying to balancing daycare and working. She had to pay her mom to babysit. Stacy had to pay, always had to pay to have a babysitter. It was all about the money, all about the money. Babysitting Nikki Lee, it was a challenge for her to find good daycare and then not have to, to pay her mom and her mom, Nikki, be exposed to her mom's ways on a daily too. That was really important because Grandma B liked to watch her soap operas and she smoked her cigarettes in her house. Yeah, that's a whole nother story. But anyway, the life with Craig and with Nikki Lee, Stacy moved out after a few years, and it was on again. Then she moved back in during the years too. But it got to the point where there was more yelling than loving going on, and having a baby and balancing all of the other things of life. And Craig trying to be a businessman in the construction world, which he has did a stellar job. If you ever seen the tour of his house here in Cave Creek, you would know what I was talking about. He's the kind of man not to spend a whole bunch of money on something expensive to make it easy to have an easy life. He would rather refurbish something and make it bigger, badder, and better. God, I love Craighead. Craighead, I have always had a great connection with Craig. I don't know if it's because we were both born in April and we're Aries. I'm not sure. But life is good. We had a really fun, always laughing. The music, I cannot get over how much music we listened to. And Stacy would never drink at our parties, cakes of beer. She was always, she liked the hard booze, the vodka. It was the vodka. And then we started at later years drinking the whiskey. Oh, the Crown Royal. Yeah, Crown Royal. We did our share of Crown Royal, didn't we, Stace? Wow. I miss my friend Stacy. And I wish that she had had a childhood that wasn't so dysfunctional and so toxic. She did a really good job coming out of the toxic Wicked Witch of the Windrose house. She loved her mom loved her, but it was just having a parent that is inebriated more days than sober is a rough life as a child growing up. And she did the best she could. Rock and roll. Rock and roll. Oh, so 70s black light posters. We had black lights and posters keep on trucking. Oh my gosh. The 70s were a best, and it was easy to call us off for school in grade school. Somebody would write a note. If we were going to ditch, somebody would write a note, and another person would be called. We pretend like somebody's mom and call the nurse and call off. And then we would lay in the sun. Lay in the sun as juveniles. It's supposed to be at school. Life was rough. I wish I could go back to easy life of a teenager and the fun times of the 70s. It would be fun. I miss you, Stacy.
I love Laurie. What do you think about that? She always makes me laugh and she always makes me feel better. Listening back to Laurie's memories, I can't help but smile at some of the stories she shared. They paint such a vivid picture of who my mom really was beyond the case file, beyond my childhood memories. One of my favorites was hearing how my mom and my dad, Craig, used to hang out with Laurie and her husband, grabbing those giant $5 breakfasts in Sunny Slope or going thrifting while the guys talk shop. It's such a simple memory, but it reminds me that before all of this, she had a real life, full of laughter, friends, and love. I also love Laurie's story about my mom refusing to have guns in her trunk. She wouldn't travel with them, wouldn't even let them ride along. That's who she was. Strong and tough in her own way, but not someone who needed a weapon to feel safe. It's important to remember that, especially when you think about the story we've been told and about how she supposedly died. And then there is the memories of music, Aerosmith blasting on the borrowed turntable, hitchhiking to Metro Center just to walk the mall and smoke stolen cigarettes, or singing along to Foghat's Slow Ride, which Laurie says is my mom's favorite. It's in those little moments that I feel like I can hear her laugh again. Through Laurie's eyes, my mom comes alive for me, not just as a victim, but as a vibrant, complicated, beautiful woman. A daughter, a sister, a mother, a friend. Someone who deserved so much more than the life and the ending she was given. Before we wrap up today's bonus episode, I really want to take a moment to say some thank yous. First and foremost to Stacy Wheaton, a new supporter of the show. Don't think I didn't notice. Stacy, you've been nothing short of my angel through this journey. Every time the podcast hits a wall or needs something urgently, you are there without hesitation. I don't believe it's a coincidence that you share my mom's name. I honestly think she sent you to me, and I am forever grateful. I also want to thank Alex, a new supporter of the show as well. Your generosity means more than I could say, and it keeps me going week after week. And one last big one. I have to absolutely highlight Brittany Wells' art. Brittany is a Kansas City-based artist, a children's book author, and a true crime junkie who stepped in when I was drowning trying to get merch designed. Not only did she create a beautiful banner and a floor display for me, but she actually paid to have them made. She didn't have to do that. She just wanted to help, and I'll never forget it. Brittany, thank you for putting your time, your talent, and your heart into this project. We have now made it halfway through this series, 6 episodes down, 6 more to go, and the next half of the story will cover the decades that followed my mom's death. I want you to know that I'm still pushing. Just yesterday, I reached out to the Yavapai County Attorney's Office, the Sedona Chief of Police, the active investigator, all of the Sedona City Council, and even the Red Rock News, asking them to reinvestigate my mom's case and finally tell this story from my family's perspective. If you want to help, you can take action too. You can contact the Sedona Police Department at 928-282-3100 or call the Yavapai County Attorney's Office at 928-771-3344. You can politely ask them to review the case file of my mother, Stephanie Marie Wasilishin. Also, if this wants to you want to tickle your pickle, you can also call the Sedona Red Rock News at 928-282-7795 and politely ask them to reinvestigate and re-report Stephanie Marie Wasilishin's story from her family's perspective. If you've read the 2020 articles from the Red Rock News, then you know. If not, I will address them in the upcoming episodes, and you're going to get just as mad as I am. I digress. Continuing on. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can hit the support the show button in the notes or check out the GoFundMe link below. Every little bit helps as I prepare for CrimeCon this September. Yesterday alone, I spent $650 on Sticker Mule, $110 on Vistaprint, and another $25 on Zazzle. Nearly $785 to make sure I have the merchandise I need for CrimeCon. And I still need more, especially t-shirts for the 3-day event. If you'd like to help me cover these costs, please consider donating to my GoFund link. The link is in the story notes. Every contribution makes a huge difference, and as a thank you, I will send you one of my first-generation Poppy Killed Mommy stickers, along with a handwritten thank you card. They are going fast. I only have a handful of the first generation left. I've got a stack of cards ready to go. I just need to grab stamps. And if you'd like to help me take my little best friend, Dickie Birdie, my support buddy, my everything, with me to Denver, you can find his Amazon wish list linked below. He just had an $827 vet bill to make sure he was safe to travel, and I'd love your help in getting him the things he needs. This is about more than just a podcast. It's about keeping my mom's name alive, keeping pressure on the people in power, and showing my little sister and all the survivors of domestic violence that their stories matter. Thank you for listening to Poppy Killed Mommy. We're only halfway there, and I promise you, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Thank you for listening.
Are you noticing your car insurance rate creep up even without tickets or claims? You're not alone. That's why there's Jerry, your proactive insurance assistant. Jerry handles the legwork by comparing quotes side by side from over 50 top insurers so you can confidently hit buy. No spam calls, no hidden fees. Jerry even tracks rates and alerts you when it's best to shop. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Don't settle for higher rates. Download the Jerry app or visit jerry.ai/libsyn today. That's jerry.ai/libsyn.